groups and both attend support groups, and every now and then I would facilitate a support group in the Tenderloin. And there were a lot of girls down there that had lots and lots of problems with police. And I hear stories every day about problems with police.
And do you think that just comes from not understanding exactly what it is that they're dealing with? Because you have the police, and I come from a family of police. I have 9 in my family.
Oh, really?
So everyone says the force is with me. But, you know, the whole thing is, I don't think they really would understand my dad and my uncle and that. They weren't trained in this or had any really knowledge of this, you know, and so when they're confronted with it, they don't know what to do, you know, and so...
Well, you know, transgender women, men and women, but women have been around San Francisco a long time. I mean, the Tenderloin, a long time. Finocchio's in North Beach,
right next to Enrico's,
Right next to Enrico's, right. And so they, you know, the officers knew what we were. They didn't understand what it meant. You know, I think they thought we were gays or super gays or, you know, whatever. And they certainly didn't know how to deal with us. And a lot of the girls, you know, were sex workers in the Tenderloin, and so they didn't know exactly what that meant. And were those gay sex workers or straight, or, you know, what were those people? And so there was a lot of confusion. And it wasn't until we were able to develop some protocols really after 2001, 2002. I was on the Human Rights Commission, and we formed a committee with the San Francisco Police Department and the commission and community members to educate them. And it was a task force that lasted 2 years, coming up with protocols, teaching the officers how to even address a transgender person. And now we have ongoing training, and back then 50% of all allegations of violence against transgender people allegedly came from police officers. And now that's dropped 95%.
Wow.
So we've made some progress in how the interaction occurs.
And was that shaky progress? I mean, was that something that they...
Yeah, it was scratching with, you know, fingernails on the blackboard kind of progress. Yeah, it was not easy.
But necessary, definitely.
Well, necessary, and it turned out to be productive for both the department and the community. And now, you know, people still do things wrong, and there's still prostitutes, and there's still, you know, but excuse me, but the way it comes down and the way they're addressed and the interaction is different. They use the right pronouns for the most part, and they understand the identity issues, and they understand where to put them, whether they put them in, you know, depending on how to house them and how to transport transgender people, and all that is now institutionalized in the San Francisco Police Department, and we now, you know, send those out to departments all over the country, and they're training their officers on how to do it. So it's a lot of progress.
And more open in other parts of the United States as well. Imagine
hopefully.
We're the leaders, and so I love San Francisco.
Indeed. We are indeed.
Definitely. So Willie Brown was the one that appointed you to the Civil Rights Commission, and he was sensitive to those aspects and knew what was going on?
You know, he was sensitive to the politics of the time, and Mark Leno was a supervisor, and so Mark was able to convince him to appoint me, and I'm not sure he even knew who I was the day he swore me in, but, you know, we got to know each other a little bit, and he knows who I am now, and I certainly know who he is, so, you know. Yeah.
Wonderful. Now, how did you make the step from working the different jobs that you have into becoming on the police commission and president of the police commission? How did that
Well, it's really two paths. One is my job path, and that's, I worked all these jobs and actually was hired at Good Vibrations in the shipping department over the holidays, and I packed boxes of various products.
And various size boxes.
Various size and shape boxes, right, exactly. The Good Vibrations would sell, you know, people around the country.
And in case someone doesn't know what Good Vibrations is, Google it. Because it's worth it. It's a wonderful store here in San Francisco.
It is.
So you worked in the shipping?
So I worked in the shipping, and they had a job as basically the chief financial officer, and so I applied and got the job, and so I went from shipping clerk to chief financial officer of Good Vibrations. And it's a company of $15 million. I mean, it's over 100 employees, so it's not a small organization. Had stores at that time, 3 stores or 2 stores. Now it has 4 stores. And I went from there to CEO of the company, and I worked there 8 years. And so that was kind of my professional path. Although one thing, my favorite thing in Good Vibrations is last year I got to go to the porn Oscars in Las Vegas. It's everybody needs to go to the porn Oscars at least one time.
What's that statue look like?
Oh, no, well, I don't know about the statue, but all these girls get up there and they just go, Thank you so. And it's exactly like you'd imagine it.
Best group C.
Best no, it's best this and that, and twos and twosomes and threesomes, and you name it.
Wow.
There's 125 categories.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to start guessing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, well I got to about 20.
Yeah.
So
then there was the public path, and basically simultaneously. And I went from the Human Rights Commission, and then was involved in this task force to develop these protocols with the police, got to know a lot of people on the department, I got to understand the interaction with the community, and then the Board of Supervisors appointed me to the Police Commission in 2004. Yeah.
Wow, it blows my mind that you're working with the Police Commission and Good Vibrations simultaneously.
Yeah, blew my mind too.
That's amazing. And it must have, I can't even begin to think of what the reaction from the police department would be.
It wasn't good. You know, I tell the story that the day I was appointed to the Police Commission, there was a meeting at the Board of Supervisors at City Hall that they appointed me. And so we got out of the meeting and everybody was happy. And but I wanted to go to a meeting at the Hall of Justice, which is 7 blocks away, to go to a meeting on the 5th floor to watch then the old Police Commission operate, and had a meeting. And so I got in my car, drove over there, 10 minutes maybe, parked my car, walked in the Hall of Justice, and as I walked through the Hall of Justice to the 5th floor, every time I passed an officer said, "Congratulations, Commissioner." So
they all knew in 10
it went
minutes.
out on whatever, their Blackberries, and it lit up, apparently. And so they knew very, very quickly. And I don't think they were very pleased. Well, they didn't know. They didn't know what that meant, you know. And
they knew they were in for a ride of
I'm not sure I knew what it meant either, but we kind of learned as time went on.
Did you ever sit back and think there's no way this is going to happen, and then it happens and how did I get here?
I'm so naive because I don't think that way. My brain does not work that way. When I try to do something, I don't think this is not going to happen. I'm just not wired that way, you know, and so I just assumed, not assumed it would happen, but I was very hopeful that it would happen. And when it did happen, I went, this is great. I was really excited. But it's not that I didn't think it wouldn't happen.
And someone from the board actually retired or quit when you became president?
No. In 2003, the voters passed a police reform measure, and it reconstituted the entire police commission, and it went from 5 members to 7, and all the old commissioners had to resign, and so 7 new commissioners were appointed.
Oh, okay.
And part were appointed by the mayor, and part were appointed by the Board of Supervisors, and I was one of the new commissioners in the reformed police commission.
And so now you've been the president of the police commission for how long now?
2 years.
2 years. What is the thing that you're most proud of that you've done so far?
Oh, that's a hard one. I mean, we've done a lot of interesting things. We probably more than anything, we've opened the process up to the public, and we try to be make the department and work with the department in being as transparent and as accountable to the public as possible. And that's probably fundamentally the biggest thing this commission has done and I've been involved in is the transparency now. Little things like we've done shooting boards where an officer is involved in a shooting. They have to go before a board of officers, of senior officers, plus a commissioner, plus an investigator. And so there's a lot of little stuff that have occurred along the way that I think have really helped to make the police department more accountable to the people.
And what's the biggest change that you've seen in the police department since when you started until now?
The biggest change? Well, when I started, it was a year after the Fajita Gate incident occurred. It was a big scandal in the department where almost the entire command staff was indicted. Ultimately, they were cleared of all charges, but there was a lot of suspicion, there was a lot of lack of trust. And I think Chief Fong came in back then in 2004, and I think the biggest change I've seen is the sense of integrity in the department now, and the trust between the community and the department is substantially different. And I think people see the department differently with the Chief Fong, who has had added tremendous integrity to the department, and then the commission, which has provided a certain amount of oversight. And if you add those two together, I think the people see the police department as a little less ominous now than they did, and a little less treacherous, and maybe a little less underhanded than they did back then.